There is a moment in every scientific breakthrough when curiosity becomes temptation, and sometimes temptation wins. In the early 20th century, the world was obsessed with progress. Electricity was spreading across cities, medicine was advancing, machines were replacing human labor. Scientists were no longer just researchers, they were becoming creators. But one man went further than anyone else dared. His name was not erased from history, it was buried under awards. His experiments were not immediately condemned, they were celebrated, until the consequences began to surface. This is the story of the scientist who crossed the line. He began as a respected physician, brilliant, ambitious, obsessed with the idea that the human body was simply a biological machine waiting to be optimized. He believed morality slowed progress. He believed emotions interfered with advancement. And most dangerously, he believed that consent was optional when the outcome served humanity. At first, his experiments were small, unapproved drug trials, unauthorized procedures, testing chemical reactions on vulnerable patients who trusted the system too much to question it. There were whispers, but results were impressive. Data was groundbreaking, and governments love results, especially during times of war. When conflict erupted, he was offered funding, unlimited resources, no oversight. He was told one simple thing: win. And he did. He tested endurance limits on prisoners, exposed subjects to extreme temperatures, injected compounds never meant for the human bloodstream. He wasn't experimenting to heal, he was experimenting to measure. Pain tolerance, breaking points, survival thresholds. To him, suffering was data, screams were numbers, and death was simply a failed variable. The terrifying part? He documented everything. Detailed notes, precise measurements, cold observations. Not once did he describe guilt, only outcomes. He wrote about human bodies like broken equipment. He adjusted procedures based on how long someone survived. He refined techniques based on how efficiently someone collapsed. He crossed the ethical line so gradually he no longer saw it. And history has shown us something chilling. When intelligence is detached from empathy, it becomes dangerous. Years later, when the war ended, investigators uncovered his facilities. They found rooms designed not for treatment, but endurance testing. They found evidence that people had been deliberately pushed past the point of survival, not by accident, by design. He was arrested, interrogated, expected to face justice, but politics intervened. His research was deemed valuable. His knowledge was considered strategic. Instead of prison, he was offered immunity in exchange for information. And just like that, accountability vanished. He lived the rest of his life quietly, respected in certain circles, protected by governments who benefited from his work. The victims never received justice. Their names were reduced to statistics. Their pain was reclassified as research contribution. But here's the deeper question. Was he a monster, or was he the logical outcome of a world that prioritizes results over morality? Because crossing the line rarely happens in one step. It happens in small compromises. One unethical decision justified by progress. One harmful act excused by potential benefit. One moment where success matters more than humanity. And once that line disappears, there is no boundary left to protect anyone. History remembers innovation. It remembers breakthroughs, but it often forgets the cost. Some scientists changed the world for the better. Others proved something far more disturbing, that intelligence without restraint can become one of the most dangerous forces on Earth, and the line between genius and villain is thinner than we want to believe.